Kia ora tātou, and welcome to our first session for 2022, and we'll be talking about how to transition from that long break that summer's represented for us, and how we can really just get ourselves into the right frame of mind for our practice sessions, for our triad work. And you'll already be noticing from course documentation that the very first Ready to Proceed video is due at the end of week 3. It can come that you decide to submit that at any time earlier than that, and that's wonderful as well. We do make a point, if we can, of when there's with submissions that are earlier than week 3, we'll really try hard to mark those and return those almost straight away. If things come in on week 3, which is of course understandable, then there'll be that understandable time frame of return that will be about 10 working days. So now the reason that we have the early submission is because we just want to be able to have opportunity to provide feedback for each of you, written feedback, and if there's things that we can see that are growth edges, then Tina and I believe Jason's marking with us as well this year. So we'll provide written feedback about that, and this is a good thing. There's only a winning way out of Ready to Proceed videos. The winning path of having some positive feedback about how everything's just tracking along perfectly, that can be so reassuring. It's also a win if growth edges, by the way, every one of us has growth edges that any other practitioner could notice in any session, so there will always be growth edges. It's depending on what the nature of the growth edges is, and if there are some growth edges that Tina or Jason and I might think would benefit from some collaborative approach, then that is a win as well. Because we can work together with you and we can ensure that skills are becoming as steady and solid as possible as quickly as possible. So it's a win-win. Now, the very first thing that we're wanting to focus on, you'll see, is whakawhanaungatanga. And that's the very gentle but super important skill of building relationship from the very earliest point of connecting with a new client, or reconnecting with clients who've come in before. But today we're thinking about that first session. And I know that in Counselling 1 that there's been a very sound foundation of the importance of covering some elements like ethics, student status, confidentiality, and those things are still going to need to be part, of course, of an introduction. But what we're going to do in this course is just concentrate not so much on the content or the what of what is shared with our clients, but we're going to focus instead on how we do that. We're going to focus on being sure that our clients do have that very thorough understanding of the ethics, because they hold our clients very safely. But we're going to present information in a reassuring way. So to do that, I've decided that I'll model the things that we're going to want to ensure that we leave behind. So some things that over a number of years I've noticed that students coming through into Counselling 2 can come at that introductory session, introductory part of the first session, with a lot of nerves and tension. And that is going to come right across to the client super quickly. So some things that over years I've heard come in this introductory session, remembering these are things that I'm hoping, expecting that we're going to leave behind. So things that I can see are a wash of concern coming over students as they're concentrating really hard on this part that they're trying to deliver with exacting detail. We're going to leave that behind. Other things that come with that wash of nerves are words that alarm clients. They will sound like, let me just try and capture it. In the event of risk or harm, then confidentiality will be broken. These things I want us to leave behind. If I'm a client and I hear those things, I'm feeling startled. And we, especially, whilst all of that is well intentioned, we want to be reassuring with our client. I've been in practice since 2006. I've worked with many different clients of all varieties, and risk response has been something that's been a regular part of what I've done. Nevertheless, never have I breached or broken confidentiality, not once. And that is because with collaboration and gentle process with clients, we decide collaboratively on the 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 details that they will be happy to share with someone else. This isn't about a breach. This is about a collaborative agreement. And we do that. We can do this in more detail, but we do this with a phone call in session. There can be other ways to do it as well, but that would be one way. And it is to their chosen person with a conference call, and they are party to everything. My client's party to everything that's shared, so there is no break. So for that reason, we are going to remove the word breach or break out of what we share. I think it is a 1 in a million times that we might actually need to do that, and the only time that I think that we would probably need to do that is if our personal safety felt at risk. If I felt that through my room had come somebody with homicidal intent, then I, for my own safety, would not be telling them that we're going to contact someone else. I would do that. That would represent a breach. Never have I ever done that, so I'm going to expect that that is an unusual situation. Mostly collaboration is what's going to happen. So let me just try, this is a little bit uncomfortable for me talking to the screen, but I'm going to try and imagine that I'm talking my client through my induction process. I'm not sure if we can quite, no, I'm not well set up to pretend this. So what I'm going to do is just put the screen off to the side a little bit, and I'm now going to talk to Fizzles. Fizzles is my weighted therapy toy who's in session with me in case clients want to have cuddle with Fizzles. So Fizzles actually is transgressing boundaries because as a client he's now far too close to me, but I'm just going to induct Fizzles into a first session. What I'm hoping that you'll note is that my tone is reassuring. I'm hoping that you'll feel whakawhanaungatanga is present in how I'm going to attempt to relate with Fizzles. And what I'm hoping that you'll notice is listening to the particular words that I choose. And I think that you'll find, I hope that you'll find that I'm going to adhere to the requirements of the Code of Ethics, which want us to take care of safety. They don't talk about harm actually. So we're going to use the same words as the Code of Ethics, and I'm going to be gentle and encouraging, I hope. Kia ora Fizzles, welcome to session today. I'm looking forward to finding how I can best support you. Fizzles, just before we start today, I find that it's quite a helpful thing if I just do a little bit more talking than what I'm going to usually do in session. And the reason for that is that research indicates that we can build relationship really well with clients. First absorb something of the vibe of the counsellor. So I might just help by the therapeutic relationship just by sharing a little bit of information. So I've been a counsellor since 2006 and I've lived and worked in a range of different places. I work with a range of different clients each week, sometimes individuals, sometimes couples, sometimes families. And when I'm working with clients, an absolutely crucial part of my work with clients is based on something called confidentiality. Are you familiar with that word, confidentiality? Oh, okay. So what confidentiality means is that anything and everything that comes into the space between us, that information is something that I'm going to care for very, very well. And privacy is going to surround all information that comes into the room here. And I do that with care around my note-taking, and it's all carefully secured away. And I do that in terms of anything that I might share. I wouldn't share, never mention my clients' names. So all of those things are ways that I preserve confidentiality. There are just a couple of exceptions when we might just change how confidentiality works, and we'd be likely to do that together. So those couple of occasions both relate to safety concerns. So if in my sessions I happen to develop a concern for the safety or well-being of my client, or the safety or well-being of someone in my client's life, then that would be something that we'd be likely to work through together. That would be a collaborative process, and together we would work out something that would support my client as gently and easily as possible. So that would be something that would be very transparent. Fizzles, I'm just wondering, how does that sound to you? Well, that's good. I'm glad that seems okay. So Fizzles, I'm just wondering, would you like to share what's brought you to session today? Thank you, Fizzles. Wasn't he just a beautiful client? Now, what you might notice is that I created some space in what I said for the unusual, I've never encountered it, moment when breaching might happen. I covered that because I said would be likely, and that's been my experience. Every time it has been likely that I could with a client navigate confidentiality in a way that would still ensure that relationship is preserved. And I've mentioned with Fizzles safety. I didn't talk about risk. I didn't talk about harm. And the reason that I'm wanting to do that is that I want to create counselling as a safe place for Fizzles. If I already start the session and I say, if there's any sense of risk or harm or suicidal ideation, then I will definitely be contacting my supervisor and we'll talk about that together. And from the get-go, clients will find that that is alarming, and they might begin to think, oh my goodness, I think I'm not going to tell this counsellor about anything that might be concerning, because who knows if that's going to count as risk or harm, and then they might tell someone on me. We do not want that. We want the client to be able to just freely bring everything, feeling that together they can have confidence that their counsellor is going to be able to shoulder whatever comes into the session. It's a safe place. So that is the approach. We're talking about collaboration, working with the client. Confidentiality, we are not going to break it behind their back. We're not going to go and sort something out with their supervisor, with our who knows that, you know, the client doesn't know who that is. That's concerning. So it is not that we are carefully telling enough information so that they can feel safe with us, because that is our purpose and intent. We can talk about this in session and maybe have some lively interactions about it. Remember, I've said to you at the start of today that all of us will have growth edges. You might have looked at my practice with fizzles and decided, oh, that word, I didn't really like that. That's great. I'm not suggesting that my practice was perfect either, because that doesn't exist. So we're going to find our own way, but we are going to find our chill and our calm, so that when we share this with clients, they also feel chill and calm, and they're going to feel included, and they're going to feel that we are holding them in a safe place. So in summary, this is the first thing to begin to focus on in triads. I want everyone, I understand for some people this does represent a bit of a reset. I think we're all up to it. I've now reset a few classes, and this is fine. We are going to be able to do this, and this is just a little tweak at the start of session. And if we feel better at the start of a session, then our clients are feeling better, and this is a win-win. So have we think about the content of this video, and we can make it, I'm sure, a discussion point for our kōrero in our next week. Okay, ka kite, and I am looking forward to meeting you all in person in the kōrero. Ka kite.